Picture, if you will, a world where the lines between entertainment and the occult blur, where those melodies and imagery we all thought harmless served as conduits for darker forces, in a realm where the pursuit of fame intertwines with ancient rituals, as the stage becomes a portal to the unknown, or perhaps the all too well known. Time to draw back the curtain here on Things Visible and Invisible. Podcaster and author Bill Bean has been involved in a ministry of spiritual deliverance for years. His work, he says, highlights the pervasive influence of demonic forces within popular culture, suggesting that certain elements in the entertainment industry, including music and media, may serve as conduits for these dark forces. And he joins me down the line from his home in Maryland. Bill, welcome to Things Visible and Invisible.
Thank you so much, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Now, when I first came across your work, Bill, obviously there's been a lot written about the demonic influence on popular culture over the years. It's quite a broad subject, so I think it's probably best if we set certain parameters to it. And in doing that, I'd like to start at the beginning, or what you would suggest is the beginning of this kind of influence. So, Bill, where would you like us to start?
Well, I've compiled a timeline on this over the years, and I believe that I'm about to say to you that I believe that the plan came in, fully launched and prepared in 1956, but it actually goes much, much further back than that. It goes back, with the beginning of motion pictures and silent films and things of that nature. There always seemed to be an element in this, and it certainly is as of today. It continues. But as crazy as this may seem or sound when I say it, I believe that when Satan and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven, they came down here, they took human women, they produced a hybrid offspring of giants called the Nephilim. And it just went on and on and on from there. And it was all about the devil hijacking the glory from God, the praise and worship of God for himself. So when we see in Hollywood, we see the star. Everybody wants to be a star. We see the Hollywood Walk of Fame with the stars. Well, I think, in my opinion, the representative or the star is none other than the devil himself, because he was under the spirit of rebellion and selfishness and came down here and literally tried to recreate the world in his image, after his likeness, after his kind. So it really starts there, but I think that there was a well thought out and calculated plan to be launched against the people of America and the world. And I think that started in 1956. And I believe the reason for that was to create rebellion in the children, which would lead to cracks and then destruction in the family unit. And it worked like a charm. So people say, well, why would you say 1956?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to
that's
say,
when it...
what was in the ether in 1956 as opposed to 1946 or 1952? What was it about 1956?
The beginning of rock and roll, Sean. That's where it started. And look, you see behind me guitars. I'm a musician. I don't play that kind of stuff anymore, but I used to play in rock and roll bands many, many years ago, back in my youth. I didn't realize how evil it was until I made the greatest decision that I ever made in my life, and that was to have a real and authentic relationship with our glorious God, the creator of the universe. And then I was convicted in my spirit, in being real and authentic with God. There were certain things that I couldn't do anymore. And then I went on a quest of seeking knowledge. I thirst for knowledge, and I still do for this day. I want to know the truth so I can speak the truth, so I can teach the truth. The truth is the truth, and there's no substitute for it. Any substitute for the truth is a lie, and that's what the devil does. He will sprinkle in little truths mixed with a lot of lies to mislead people. So in 1956, Bill Haley and the Comets came along, and that was the beginning of rock and roll. And now, prior to that, you had the Mississippi Delta Blues, which again, a lot of that was based in voodoo. And so that was already present on the scene, but it was more underground. And so in 56, Bill Haley and the Comets came along, and it was mainstream. And if you do some research into this, you'll see that when they started to have these concerts in different parts of the country, the kids were under such a spirit of rebellion that they started to riot and break up some of these venues where they were having the concerts, because the spirit of violence and rebellion was on them so strongly. And this was the beginning of the fracture in the family unit. And then, Little Richard came along, Jerry Lee Lewis, then Elvis, and then the Beatles. And by that time, the fractures were, widening more and more in the families as these children came under the spirits of rebellion.
So, much has been written about this, much has been spoken about this, Bill. I'm sure you're aware of all of this. That the late 50s and 60s has a lot to answer for in terms of societal problems that keep recurring. A lot of people would suggest that these were societal problems, sometimes created by the aftermath of the Second World War, and some of the problems that came about that. And some of that rebellion, that youthful rebellion, was also was not so much rebellion as a kind of desire to break away from what had gone before, which had witnessed 2 world wars. Do you see that that there was a kind of positive idealism, maybe, or a youthfulness that was there, that was maybe corrupted more than just simply something which was pure rebellion?
Yeah, I don't see anything positive in it at all, Sean. And I've done a lot of research into this, and I lived it myself. Again, I played in rock and roll bands, as a young guy, and I don't see anything positive in it, because prior to that, the family unit was strong. Dad worked, mom took care of the house and the kids. The family prayed together. There was a proper order in most families, not all, but in most families, there was a proper order. And when this all came about, which again, I believe was a very carefully calculated plan that worked like a charm, that was the beginning of the end of the American family as we knew it. And so once that spirit of rebellion and selfishness was introduced, then there was no turning back. It was like a runaway train. So to further that, and this is all my opinion, I couldn't go into a court of law and prove it, but I feel very strongly about it. And I feel that what I'm saying is absolutely true. And I've written about it in some of my books over the years. I believe that certain clandestine agencies introduced drugs into the mix as well. So as this started off, as I say, with Bill Haley and the Comets, which was steeped in rebellion and violence, it escalated into the sex, drugs, rock and roll with the introduction of LSD and things of that nature into the concerts. And whether that was the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Grateful Dead, they were known as the Warlocks before the Grateful Dead. And so with bands like that, many others also, they were passing out free LSD at these concerts, and it became mind-altering, and it was life-altering for a lot of these people as well.
Now, you've alluded a number of times to a kind of plan, a sort of the execution of a plan, Bill. Obviously, the grander plan, you've identified who that is, the fallen angel, the day star. But what break that down for me into, I mean, who do you suspect through your researches and also just being around these sorts of things? Who do you think was sort of the machinations behind this? Who was turning the wheels on this, and what was their objective?
It wasn't just America, I can tell you that. The alphabet agencies in America, obviously, and agencies like Tavistock, MI6, agencies like that, and other agencies around the world. I think they were working together to launch this plan because, again, America to this day, but it's the shine is tarnished so much now. But for many people around the world, they saw America and Americans as the guys that wore the white hats. People wanted to leave their countries and go to America. America was the shining star for, freedom and pursuit of happiness and things of that nature. I think, and the reason, I'll tell you why I say this, all life, in my opinion, operates on frequency and vibration. We are electrical beings, okay? So the reason I say this is because when God, Yahweh is his name, listed 6,823 times in the Bible, replaced with the title of Lord, wherever you see Lord in caps, that should say Yahweh. When he spoke the world into existence, he did so through the frequency and vibration of his voice. Therefore, all life operates on that principle. The devil knows this because he held a very high position in heaven at one time as the choir director. So he was in charge of the praise and worship music. So he knows full well about the frequencies and vibrations and the power of music. And so when he was cast out and really reassigned out of his role of choir director into the role of adversary to mankind, because when Yahweh created us, he created us to have free will. Therefore, it requires an adversary to mankind based on our free will. That's why the devil exists. That's why he doesn't destroy him. He serves his role to perfection. And so I think that based on that, the way that you lower the frequency, well, there's a multitude of ways that you can do it. The number one way is trauma and fear, number 1 and 2, trauma and fear, but also through music, through creating a spirit of rebellion and selfishness and violence and things of that nature. You can lower the frequency and vibration, and that's through alcohol, to drink, and through drugs as well. When you lower the person's frequency and vibration, therefore they are wide open and vulnerable for demonic attack and demonic infiltration, and nothing good is going to come from that. And so this is why I keep saying that it was a very calculated plan to do this, because prior to that, yes, we had 2 world wars, but it was still a wonderful time to live for families that they had stability in the family unit, and there was an order in the family unit in most cases. And so it was a wonderful time for families to be alive and to be families. And so I think at that point in time, the plans were already there to create this disturbance that would literally shift our way of life. And we are where we are today in society as a result of that plan that unfolded back then. It was a very clever and calculated plan that's been unfolding for decades and decades.
Talk to me a little bit more, Bill, about this. I mean, I'm intrigued by this idea of vibration and so forth, and its links to music, because rock and roll, or as a musical form, was very distinct from other popular musical forms that had preceded it. In terms of its rhythm, in terms of its beat, in terms of, do you link this musical phenomena from the late 50s onwards as being a kind of spiritual phenomena, a kind of as I said at the introduction, a conduit into something. Is that the link you're making?
Yes, I believe it 100%. So if what I say is true about the devil and a third of the angels, the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God that were cast out, that came down here, took human women, created a hybrid offspring of giants who then became man-eaters themselves, and they also went into the fields and the forest and had unnatural union with apes, bears, wolves, dogs, monkeys, you name it. And that, in my opinion, they are the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Sabe beings, which are every bit as much spiritual as they are flesh and blood. But this has all been a part of a plan to hijack humanity, to destabilize humanity, and to distort the relationship between the Creator, Yahweh, and mankind. And so he can do it, the devil, through a myriad of ways, including frequency and vibration. So if you put your target into a state of fear, and usually that takes place through trauma. I've helped thousands of people from all over the world, continue to do so. And in many of those cases, not all, but many, they are fear-based, trauma-based, and some type of traumatic, terrible thing has taken place with the victim, and usually starts in childhood. And when those doorways are open, those demonic forces will not leave until someone like me comes along by the power of God working through me to evict them. And so it's all a game. And this is why when people come under spiritual attack, they perhaps may hear things or see apparitions or see things move. They might hear a disembodied voice. They might be touched. They might have. This is why I call them parlor tricks. These are all designed to keep the person in that state of fear. So when we apply that to the bigger picture, going back to this plan, if you can now disrupt the populace and you have them off balance and you can put them into a state of fear and confusion, and then, you introduce drugs into that and the drink or whatever else, you have got them right where you want them on low frequency, low vibration, and therefore you can now control the narrative. And it has worked like a charm for all these years. It continues to work.
Bill, very intriguing. Unfortunately, the clock has beaten us for this episode, but we're going to have to return this. You've set it up wonderfully, if I must say. You've certainly intrigued my thoughts on this. But for now, tell people, Bill, where they can find out more about you, your ministry, and also your work.
Well, I want to thank you so much again for having me on. And if you're out there and you're having problems and you feel like you're under spiritual attack, or if you want to read my books, just visit BillJBean.com. And you can order a copy of my books from there. Or if you'd like to book a spiritual deliverance session with me, then you can do so from the website. You can contact me directly from the site. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can, and I'll do anything and everything that I can by the power of God working through me to be a blessing and a help to you.
For now, Bill, thank you so much for coming on Things Visible and Invisible.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Things Visible and Invisible. We're dedicated to uncovering phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality, from ancient enigmas and paranormal encounters to scientific anomalies and forgotten histories. If you enjoyed this journey into the mysterious and unexplained, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell to stay updated on future explorations. Have a personal experience or story that aligns with our investigations? We'd love to hear from you. Visit our website at tvi.show and reach out through our contact form. While we can't feature every submission, we review them all, and your story might be featured in an upcoming episode. To support our continued investigations, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter or channel member. Your contributions make these explorations possible and give you access to exclusive content early releases, and monthly behind-the-scenes discussions with our team. Don't forget to check out our merch store. We've got everything from TVI-branded t-shirts and hoodies to stickers and coffee mugs, perfect for showing your support while keeping the mysteries close. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time as we continue to explore the things visible and invisible.